I have a 6-year-old electric vehicle that gets me over 300 miles of range, but it got me thinking about where electric vehicles used to be and whether a vehicle that's 9 years old that only has 75 miles of range is still relevant in 2024. And so today we're going to be looking at this 2015 Nissan Leaf that only gets 75 miles of range and answering the question, is this still relevant in 2024 and can you get by with this? I'm going to be using it for the week to answer just that question. Let's find out. Okay, let's understand this vehicle a little bit more. I said 84 miles of range on this 2015 Nissan Leaf. It sports a 24 kilowatt hour battery pack, very, very small. It's a 4-door hatchback style design and it's just a front wheel drive. But it was very iconic. I am lucky to have gotten this vehicle because my vehicle's in the shop getting some modifications done. Stay tuned to the channel to see what I had done. But in the meantime, I rented this on Turo. I thought, why not give it a shot? Because this vehicle, a lot of people owned. Maybe not in this red, but they had a very iconic, almost like a seafoam green color. But a lot of people entered the world of the Nissan Leaf because of the cost. When the Leaf came out, at one point, you could lease a Leaf for $200 a month. Now, for many people, that was cheaper than what they were paying on gas every single month. So we saw a lot of people migrate over to the Nissan Leaf as their first entry into an electric vehicle that they used to just commute and get around town, and it served its purpose really, really well. So that's why this was very pivotal. Let's get into a lot of the tidbits and what this vehicle has as far as the inside and outside. We'll cover more. Okay, so let's start with the front design. There is no frunk, unfortunately. What there is a charge port. There's a switch on the inside that pops this door open, and when you pop this door open, you'll find the charging port. It's just a CCS connector. This one unfortunately doesn't have DC fast charging, but one thing that's kind of nice is it's right up front. So when you go to charge, you pull in forwards that most people are used to. Also along the front, you'll also notice these very iconic, people call them bug-eye headlights. Now these are, of course, it's old, it's 9 years old, so you've got a lot of that faded away here, but these lights extruded from the front of the hood and gave it a very iconic bug-like look around the front. But that's really all the front. You've got standard wipers, standard glass, and that's the Nissan Leaf on the front. Let's jump around back. Okay, let's jump around to the rear. Now, the rear sports a brake light up on top, 2 taillights flanking the sides that have the same extruded design as the headlights do, so they make it very visible at night. Because it is a hatchback, you do have a rear window, so that means windshield wiper on the rear. This does have a camera, believe it or not, 9 years ago, so when I shifted to reverse, I can see a little bit not that clear, but hey, it's there. Now, opening this up, it is a manual lift, so it's not automatic, so, you know, first world problems. And then the gas struts, I don't know if they're giving out, but this is about as high as I can go. Now I'm about 5'10", so I do clear it, but any taller than this, your head's probably gonna hit up on top. Now looking into the rear trunk, there's a lot of space. And because they've dropped the floorboard, there's no sub-trunk, but you get a lot of space. You're able to drop the rear seats also in a 60-40 split if you wanted to get more space, but it does pass the Garage Fit Challenge with plenty of space back here to spare. So really, really good space on the rear of the Nissan Leaf. Overall, not a bad vehicle. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it does a good job. Let me talk to you more about that. Now, let's jump inside and take a look at this 9-year-old electric vehicle. So inside, you'll notice, obviously, we've got some things that are very archaic. I'll say that in my time driving this, it felt like a blast from the past in some respects. So We've got your standard steering wheel here. It is a heated steering wheel. The heated controls is on the left-hand side. You do have some controls right on the steering wheel, like volume and voice command, eco mode, which I'll get into. And then you've got two front dashes, one for your speedometer, time, temperature, and then one below it that kind of shows you your range, what your regenerative versus power being used is, and the temperature of your battery. Now you've got your four-way door switch panel right here on the left, but everything is plastic. Either a matted plastic or this glossy black piano, which 9 years is going to do quite damage to, as you can see here. The only place where there's some soft touch is right here on the door panel, but just right here. Outside of that, it's all plastic. And then you've got a light colored headliner up on top, which will add to stainage. But you've got your manual vents here, very old school, but you do have a infotainment. And in the infotainment, you've got Bluetooth. You've also got a line-in plug right down here, as well as a USB charging port here, but no Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto. Hell, you don't even get navigation. You do get maps, but not navigation. So really the screen is kind of useless, but it's kind of nice you can plug in something and listen to it via your mobile device. HVAC controls right down over here, nothing out of the ordinary there. Now, no wireless charging, even though it looks like a perfect place to put your phone. Two cup holders here, a storage compartment here, and then this very iconic mini joystick shifter, which, you just kind of shift it forward, shift it backwards, or press for park. You've got some center storage right in here. The seats are all cloth. You've got a cloth armrest, and then you've got your glove box right here. Pretty standard there. It is a push to start, so you push it here and then you can change gears. There are some switches on the left-hand side which give you access to a lot of the charging options. So heated steering wheel, timed charging, whether your charging port locks to open the charge port door, and then traction control. That's pretty much it for the front. Up above, you've got a place to put your sunglasses, you've got your microphone, dome lights, and your sun visors and so forth. Your rear view mirror is a decent size, and you've got the access to turn it on night mode and not on night mode, but that's pretty much it. I did find very interesting and weird was that on the side of the passenger seat, there's controls for the seat heaters. Both the front seats are heated, but if you're in the back seat, you could press that and play some tricks on the person sitting passenger by turning on their seat heaters from right back here. I thought that was interesting and quirky, as Doug would say. Center dome light right there, and so yeah, that's it for the front. Let me show you the rear. I can't really get in, and I'll show you why. Now, jumping into the rear, not much to cover here other than you've got enough space for two car seats and plenty of room for them. Now, I wouldn't stick somebody in the middle, as your middle spot is pretty gone, but even with or without car seats, the middle rear seat is absolutely unusable. And that's because there is a hump in the middle of this vehicle. And if you know older cars, you know that hump makes it extremely comfortable for your legs and your feet, causing you to spread your legs wider, making the people next to you be quite uncomfortable. So the middle rear seat is pretty much unusable. So think of this car as a 4-seater, not a 5-seater. Standard window controls on the sides, and that's about it back here. Okay, so now the real question. 84 miles, Raj, how can you even live with that? Well, a lot of people talk about electric vehicles as you start every day with a full charge. And so with today's modern vehicles, you're starting 200 plus miles. Are you driving that much in a day? Well, I've had the pleasure of driving this car actually for the last week. And while the Turo host made it very clear to me, actually made me quite nervous that making sure that I was aware of the range and what I'd be getting so that I don't get stuck. So I was fearful coming into this, but needless to say, I was quite surprised at the experience that I received as far as rated range to actual range. Nissan really nailed it. You see, there are two modes, eco mode or non-eco mode. Eco mode is obviously going to give you the best range. So I did a day of driving in eco mode. That basically meant that 60 to 65 miles an hour on the freeway is what I kept myself to. And the sweet spot local driving was about 40 miles per hour. Now, I was driving extremely conservatively. And at the end of that day, I actually had more range than I was actually estimated to have. It was wild. So the next day I actually turned eco mode off and I drove quite normally. Now, as soon as you turn eco mode off, your rated range actually drops anywhere from 4 to 6 miles, which I appreciated that because it was an actual estimate. Now, compared to what was actually estimating to what I actually got, I only saw a difference of about 6 miles. Keep in mind, this is a 9-year-old vintage EV, and I'm getting very accurate range to what's being promised, which is phenomenal. That's more to say than what today's current EVs tell you you're going to get versus what you're going to get, if you catch my drift. Tesla. Anyway, so a 9-year-old EV is giving me a very accurate estimation to what I'm getting. Was really nice, I have to admit. Now, for putting around town, for commuting to work, for picking and dropping off my kids, it was more than adequate. I was never going over 70 miles in a given day. Driving very conservatively, I'm not a speed demon, and so this worked. Now, I will caveat that when on eco mode, it did feel like there was something behind the accelerator pedal. You just did not have that zippiness of a standard car. Turning eco mode off made it perform and feel like a regular car. Quite a bit different from Tesla, where you are right off the line zipping, and this, you're not. But a 9-year-old EV still, after running for it for a week, feels very, very much sustainable in 2024. I'm shocked. Okay, look, now don't get me wrong. I do miss a lot of my tech. I do miss the autopilot is probably the biggest thing that I miss on this vehicle. But if you're not a super techie person and you're looking to just get around town, save some money by not going gas, and just be greener, this is still a great entry into electric vehicles, even 9 years later. So if you can score a good price on one of these, I would say go with it. Why not? I mean, there's not much that you can get. Now, I would say $5K is probably a good number to go with. But yeah, I would go with $5,000, pick yourself up a Nissan Leaf and drive a vintage vehicle. I mean, hey, you're not rolling down the windows at least. It's automatic. It's got some things. I mean, sure, you got to adjust the steering wheel manually, but and your seats are the pump seats and so forth. But hey, for some, it's worth the cost savings. So in conclusion, this 9-year-old relic, really shocked me in being able to perform and function. Now, if you can get this at a killer price, like let's say $5,000, why not? Avoid the gas payments, have a vehicle to put around town in, cheap, easy, eco-efficient, green. Why not, is what I say. I'm curious to know, what do you think? Did you own a Leaf? Did you love it? Do you still think that it's relevant in 2024? Sound off in the comments down below. And if you like this kind of content of vintage EVs, let me know about that too. Maybe I'll make some more. But if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys next time. 2015, still got it.